Welcome to this masterclass on resolving strong emotions after infidelity. Before we talk about infidelity, emotions, or relationships, I want you to imagine something for me. Imagine a long coastal walk. At the very beginning of the path, the weather is violent. The wind is loud and the ground feels unstable. Your body is tense, braced, and alert. As you walk further, the wind softens, but the air feels heavy. There feels like there is a weight here, a sense of something lost, a sense that something has been damaged. Further along the path, the weather clears and you can see clearly again. You're no longer overwhelmed. You're observing, you're gathering information, you're steadying yourself. Things seem less hazy on the horizon. They're starting to clear and there's a sense of relief. Then something shifts. You notice that you're walking more easily. Your breathing changes. Your shoulders drop. You're choosing to notice the beautiful scenery after the storm. You can see how all the way out along the horizon and the sun is warming you. You're no longer reacting. You're choosing what you see and what you feel. You're choosing. And eventually, further still along the walk, there's space. There's lightness in the air. And there's moments of just peace and joy rising within you. This masterclass is like a progression of the weather patterns that you had on this walk. You cannot skip through it. We will gently work our way from the stored anger that you have no strategy to release through the hurt that lays heavy within your body, that keeps your guard up and keeps your intuition from returning. And after understanding where the hurt comes from, you'll feel some relief, that you can experience the freeing freedom of the emotions and the triggers leaving, so you can connect with what it is that you truly want and experience peace and joy in your life again. Before we go any further, I want to be very clear about what this training is and what it's not. This is a judgment-free space. No one here is wrong. No one is being told how they should feel. No one is being pushed to forgive. No one is being told what decision to make. If this has been on your mind, in the back of it, in the forefront, deciding whether you want to stay, leave, or repair your relationship, you know that you do not need to decide this today. This training exists for one reason only: to restore your ability to think and feel clearly again. Because clarity cannot exist inside emotional overwhelm. That is proven by studies of brain activity. Now, my name is Tara, and I am a couples coach specializing in assisting individuals and couples find clarity following infidelity. Over years of working with individuals and couples after infidelity, one truth became unavoidable. Infidelity itself is not what it keeps people stuck. The unresolved emotional charge associated with the infidelity is: when emotional charge remains unresolved, the nervous system stays in threat mode. And when the nervous system is activated, the brain cannot access perspective, intuition, effective decision making. This is not an opinion. Neuroscience shows that heightened activation of the brain's amygdala, which is responsible for our emotional processing, particularly fear, anxiety, and aggression, reduces access to our prefrontal cortex, the area of our brain that is responsible for reasoning and emotional regulation. So when we activate the amygdala, basically we're reducing the capacity for the prefrontal cortex. So the longer we stay in fear, anxiety, and aggression, this is going to reduce our perspective, intuition, and effective decision making. This is why people, they loop, ruminate, replay conversations again and again in their mind, swing between I'm okay to I'm not feeling okay at all. And that's a nice way to put it. Feeling frozen one moment and desperate to escape the next. Trying to decide your future while emotionally flooded is like trying to read a map inside of a storm. If this is where you are right now, nothing has gone wrong in your reaction. Your system is simply responding exactly as our human system does when attachment security is threatened, trust assumptions collapse, and the future becomes uncertain. Attachment research shows that perceived threats to close bonds activate the same stress pathways as physical danger. So if your body feels hijacked right now, like the reactions are instantaneous and you're not in control of them, then this makes sense. And if you are the partner who engaged in the infidelity, emotional shutdown or a lack of remorse is often a disassociation, not an absence of feeling. So if this is you or if this sounds like your partner, know that there are feelings beneath these that are not being accessed due to dissociation. Dissociation is a well-documented nervous system response to overwhelming internal conflict. Both partners are affected, often in very different ways. Infidelity has wider ranging impacts than just the couple too. Whether you have been able to talk with others in your life or not about the situation, they do know something is up. Only 7% of our communication is words. They're picking up on our body language. They're picking up on our tone. They're picking up on the things that we do differently lately. So if you've managed to share what's going on for you with a few people in your life or one or two, and that felt good, then good. That's great. If they start offering you advice or telling you what to do, remember that that comes with care. They care for you. And that doesn't mean that you should listen to them. The only person who can assist you to find the clarity through this is you. Want an option if they start to, let you know what they think you should decide to do or what action you need to take, then you could respond with something like this if you need something in your back pocket. I know you're saying this because you care. This is something I need to process on my own in my own time to find clarity. I know you will respect that. Thank you for being here to listen. So this is a gentle way you can let them know that they are supporting you and what you need from them is just for them to listen right now. There, as I said, there's no hurry to make any decisions. If this is something that you've recently, found out or has recently happened, then know that it's okay to take that time for yourself to process this. Let your nervous system catch up. You are allowed to move at your own pace. So a decision is not a clear path forward until the nervous system is capable and ready to enact that decision. So quite often we can rationally think, yep, this is what I want to do, but our body is in freeze or fight mode, or our nervous system is not ready to enact that decision. And this is when looping may occur, when we want to do one thing, the next moment we want to do another thing, or we're thinking one thing and then the next moment thinking something else. And this is where the fight, flight, or freeze is occurring. I want to share with you now some of my story. So through this, you'll come to understand why it is that I offer infidelity coaching. I remember the moment I found out, like my body knew before my mind registered the words. My chest went tight, my stomach dropped, and everything I thought was solid suddenly felt fake and unsafe. Thoughts raced through my head all at once. Was I enough? What does she have that I don't? Why her? My mind was spinning so fast I felt dizzy and weak and completely alone. I couldn't even hear anything outside of me. And as the minutes passed, the dizziness eased into a strange numbness, like my system pulled on the emergency brake and I couldn't move, think, or comprehend. In the weeks that followed, I replayed conversations in my head over and over, no matter how much I thought about it, rationalized it, pretended it didn't exist, or that it never happened. And sometimes I wish that I didn't know. But the same messages kept repeating in my head. I was not enough for him. This is what it was for me, repeating in my mind that the person I had trusted most, the person who knew me better than anyone else in the whole world, had become the source of my deepest pain that I'd ever felt. I'll admit my communication and my behavior was anything but rational in the weeks that followed. Not long after, I was with another man. I can admit there was some physical connection there prior, however, I'd never acted on it. Part of me thought that it might restore my confidence, lessen the anger and the hurt and the resentment I felt toward my partner, or at least allow me to forget about it for a while. For a moment, it distracted me, it excited me, but I didn't feel joy or love. I didn't heal anything. Actually, following this, I felt a whole lot worse. Into the existing emotional overwhelm, I'd managed to add guilt, disgust in myself, and an absolute fear that I had destroyed my relationship forever. I felt disconnected from myself, from my values, and from the person that I thought I was before this happened. What hurt the most wasn't just the betrayal or the choices made afterwards, it was the loneliness inside my own head. I felt ashamed for still caring, angry at myself for trying to suppress the pain, and exhausted from carrying all the emotions that had nowhere to land. That's when I realized something important. Trying to fix the emotional pain with action doesn't work when the nervous system is still flooded with emotion. What I needed wasn't answers or revenge or validation. I needed resolution. I needed relief. With no tools immediately at my disposal at that time, I took the long haul to healing. It was years later that I discovered NLP and timeline therapy and shared these tools with my partner for us to both finally release all the stored emotional trauma and burden from these events. Releasing limiting beliefs that allowed my inner critic to finally turn into positive self-talk, owning my boundaries and acknowledging needs within myself that I had never admitted in my life, and communicating these openly and honestly with my partner, including about my intimacy needs. The transformation in our communication and feelings toward each other in the days that followed this was the biggest shock of my life. Finally, there was relief, a quiet mind, and clarity about my future. I decided that I would learn these methods to assist others. I couldn't believe everyone in the world isn't taught these tools, particularly when it comes to relationships. Many couples are told to talk more, but research on trauma and emotional memory shows that verbal processing alone does not resolve emotional imprinting. In fact, scientific studies have proven that repeated recounting without resolution can reinforce emotional activation. Here's why. Humans don't store experiences as words. We store them as internal representations, as images with sounds and sensations. This is supported by cognitive psychology and memory research. So every time you talk about what happened, your nervous system reassesses the original sensory input in our mind and reacts as if it's happening again. In our mind's eye, we see the same image imprinted in our neurology as when we first learnt about or knew about the infidelity. So that's why conversations end in escalation to anger and arguments, shut down and not wanting to talk or hear about it at all, exhaustion without relief. Relief does not come from analyzing the past, rehashing the details, forcing forgiveness, hoping that time will fix it. I did plenty of this. Long-term research shows unresolved emotional stress significantly impacts mental health, immune function, and cardiovascular health over time. I tell all of my clients there is no negative emotion that can be safely stored and sustained within the body. Left unaddressed, even if completely suppressed to the outside world, these negative emotions wreak stress and havoc on our body. This isn't about your partner. This is about putting your health first. I want to say something here that may feel uncomfortable and invite you to simply notice what happens when you hear it. Infidelity is an opportunity. Do we all wish it had never happened? Absolutely. Infidelity is an opportunity because it reveals the truth. It exposes where connection was already compromised, where boundaries were unclear, where needs went unspoken, where self-trust may have been overridden. You now know with absolute clarity what you do not want in your relationship. The question becomes, what do you want instead? And this is why we work to restore clarity before peace can arrive back in our lives. We have to genuinely know what we want from deep inside. Healing does not mean staying. Healing doesn't mean leaving. Healing means ending the cycle, ending the looping, feeling relief, and feeling like yourself again. The cycle only ends when the emotional imprint is resolved at the level that it was created, the subconscious nervous system. So take a breath here for a moment. This breath is not to calm down. It's not to feel better. It's just to arrive here right now to be present with your thoughts, your feelings with me. This is where clarity begins. When we're willing to sit with it. You know that everything you're trying to push away and suppress just so you can feel normal, feel like yourself again. And I'm here to tell you that there is something you can do about it to stop feeling this way, to escape this trap that you currently feel stuck in. One of the most confronting truths I've learned over the years of working with infidelity recovery is that the situation itself is not what creates suffering. It's how the situation is being filtered inside your nervous system. You cannot undo the situation. You can undo what the situation has done to your nervous system. There is still a place within you that can return to steadiness, agency, and peace. Not by denying what happened, not by excusing anyone, but by understanding how your mind is making meaning of it. Take a moment to notice how your body feels right now. Notice your heartbeat, your shoulders, the way your chest rises and falls, the tension within your body. Even as your mind follows my words, there's a part of you that is observing quietly. That quiet part, effortless, always on part, is the unconscious mind. It's the part of your brain that records, remembers, and reacts before the conscious mind even has the chance to interpret the experience. It's like the autopilot of your emotional and physical life. And here's the key for everyone dealing with infidelity. Many of our emotions, the emotions that you're feeling right now, are not coming from the conscious evaluation of what happened. They're coming from the unconscious mind. They're coming from your body, your nervous system, your memory, reacting to a perceived threat, loss, and past patterns. The unconscious mind has three primary functions. Number one, protection and survival. It alerts you to danger. It triggers that fight, flight, or freeze response. Neuroscience shows that the amygdala fires before the prefrontal cortex even has evaluated the situation. Number two, the unconscious mind is in charge of pattern storage and learning. It stores every emotional experience you've ever had, particularly the strong ones. It keeps templates for relationships, trust, and safety. When infidelity happens, these templates are triggered and your body reacts to the meaning of the event, not just that event itself, but the meaning that we create for that. Number 3, the unconscious mind is in charge of our automatic execution. Our habits, our beliefs, our emotional reactions are largely unconscious. Even when you consciously want to feel calm or let go, your unconscious mind is scanning in the background, scanning for threat and replaying old patterns. In short, the unconscious mind runs the emotional autopilot, often keeping you stuck in loops of anger, grief, resentment, or rumination, trying to arrive at feelings of safety and understanding. Many people believe that to move forward, they need to think logically or just forgive. But here's the truth: logic and more information don't change unconscious programming. The grief that surfaces late at night, the anger that spikes unexpectedly at your partner, the fear that you'll never trust them again. These are all signals from your unconscious mind asking for resolution and safety. And when you learn to work with your unconscious mind rather than against it, something remarkable happens. Emotional charge drops away. Awareness of self, boundaries, and communication becomes easy. Clarity for your future begins to emerge. You feel like yourself and in control again. And decisions come from inner wisdom, not reactive pain. I want to take you now on a little journey. Close your eyes for a moment, if that feels safe to do so for you. If not, you may want to close them in a moment when you're ready. You're in a city walking, surrounded by people, and you just want to find somewhere a bit quieter for a while. You can hear all people chattering, the transport, the city noises right around you. The cafes are busy, the street is busy, and all of a sudden you notice a staircase beside you, right beside you now, heading down to a set of automatic wooden doors. You take a step toward the doors, and then another. You start breathing slower, concentrating on these doors. What is this place? You step down the next step, and the next step, and you notice you're getting closer. There's no sign saying what this place is. It feels familiar and safe though. As you step down the last steps, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You pause and you take a breath on the concrete landing before the doors. They instinctively sense you there and slowly open. You enter slowly, not knowing exactly where you are. Doesn't matter, because it feels quiet and safe here. You feel home. It's like walking into a vast library, many shelves, many books, several floors of them to explore. This is your library, the library of your life, of who you are. Every memory, every belief, every action is stored here, as well as every emotion. And right now, some of those shelves are shaking. Some of those books are falling from those shelves and being pulled by an unseen force open to a chapter. You know instinctively that this force is because of what has happened in your relationship, and that the shaking is as a result of not knowing where to go with the information that you now have. Some chapters are laying open on the shelves, You feel them yearning to be closed and put back into the appropriate place on the shelves to restore order, safety, and security. You take a deep breath. You look at all the books. And you know that there is a way you can restore calm and safety here. You can let the books know that you're there to listen, to assist. And you will stop pretending they don't exist, stop shutting them away from the light. You are here to help restore this library to the sanctuary you want it to be. And as you let the library know this, the shelves stop shaking. And the restoration has already started. You don't need to pick up or close every book today. You just notice that the library exists and it feels good to visit here. And already, just noticing the library creates a shift that you've been ready to start feeling more of these moments. A moment where you can just breathe again. You will return here frequently now. You know this is a safe place. You turn to leave, heading back to the wooden doors. Out the doors and up the steps. You're traveling there now. Walking back up the stairs. And the last few steps, 3, 2, 1, you arrive back on the busy street. That took only a couple of minutes to connect your conscious mind with your unconscious using only your imagination. So how do you know that you built that bridge between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind? Did you feel differently there in that visualization, even just for a moment, feeling some safety, some relief? If yes, then you built that bridge. And if you brought back some of that better feeling to now, then you built a strong bridge. Now that we understand what the unconscious mind is and how it's driving the roller coaster of your experience, we can start exploring how to work with the unconscious mind to create lasting change for clarity and for peace. In describing a visit to the library, I used the same words, held the same intent for everyone listening to this masterclass. However, every person listening will imagine it differently. A different street, different steps, a different door, different structure to the library, a different way the shelves were shaking. You filled in all the blanks, all the details. I didn't say everything. I wasn't very descriptive. Every person experiences life through filters. These filters fill in our blanks. They fill in the way we see, hear, and feel our life. This isn't psychology jargon. It's observable, measurable, and universal. The brain is constantly deleting, distorting, and generalizing information because it has to. There is so much information out there that we can only take in 126 bits per second of information, and we can only consciously recall 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information. So if I ask you to name 5 brands of dishwasher or 5 brands of car, most people will only be able to mention, just quick recall, 7 plus or minus 2. Even though our brain is constantly taking in 126 bits of information per second. And if we didn't do this, we would be completely overwhelmed. We wouldn't be able to function. So this is why our body and our mind deletes, distorts, and generalizes. But what it does is it does this through our experience of previous events in our life. And in particular, core events which shaped our life between the ages of 0 and 7 have a significant impact on how we delete, distort, and generalize information in our lives. So when infidelity occurs, you're not reacting to the event alone. You're filling in the blanks of all of them. You're reacting to what it means about you, what it means about love, what it means about safety, what it means about your future. And those meanings are filtered through things like past relationships, childhood attachment experiences, previous betrayals, unresolved emotional footprints throughout your life. This is why one person collapses into self-doubt while another goes into rage, while another goes numb. The same event, different internal filters that they have that are delete, distorting, generalizing the information that's coming in, even from a similar event or the same event. It's why two people can see something completely differently, have a completely different experience of the same thing that they went through. Because it's not the same, because of the way we filter it. Part of these filters are our beliefs we've created about ourselves over time. In NLP, there's a term we use for how our beliefs filter our reality, and this is called perception is projection. We cannot possibly take in the 2 million bits per second of information that is thrown at us, so we filter it. And we only take in what resonates with our values, supports, and reinforces our beliefs. Infidelity doesn't just break trust with another person, it activates much older wounds that we have concreted in our beliefs. Fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough, fear of being replaceable, and suddenly the pain feels bigger than the relationship, because in many ways it is. Even if you've been with that someone for many, many years, right? There is this aspect of older wounds that are also feeding into all the pain that it is that you feel right now. Your reality of this event is interpreted through those unresolved emotional templates you experienced well before the relationship, meaning every emotional pain that you've ever felt associated with beliefs that are now being activated in this situation, it's all being felt simultaneously. All that emotional pain, all of that emotional overwhelm. So no wonder you're feeling angry, sad, emotional, all over the place, wanting to hide, pretend it didn't happen, frozen. Who can handle feeling all of that simultaneous pain at once? Now, here's a piece of information that people find confronting but also freeing. There are periods of childhood, often before age 7, where the mind forms these global conclusions about love, safety, and self-worth. Gestalt psychology calls this unfinished business. When something is emotionally unresolved, the nervous system seeks completion. Not consciously, automatically, and unconsciously, it's looking for completion. This is why people find themselves in eerily similar relationship dynamics, even when they've chosen to leave one relationship and start a new one and chosen differently. They find themselves in the same dynamics. It's the psyche seeking awareness and resolution. Infidelity can sometimes be that moment where unmet needs finally surface. You can say them out loud, acknowledge that they're there. Boundaries that were never enforced before are now in your awareness and you start enforcing them. Truth and communication replaces insurance within the relationship. The hard truth that NLP teaches us is that until you do the clearing work on those beliefs, they will continue to act as filters in your life. Your reality, your experience, you will confirm those beliefs again and again and again because of the way you're filtering the information to confirm them. And until you release the emotional charge which created those beliefs in the first place, allowing your body and your nervous system to have that completion, then you're going to experience those as continual filters for your experience. For example, if you decided early in life that you were not enough, even if you consciously knew that or consciously know that that's not true, your unconscious mind is filtering your life to confirm that belief. You can escape the relationship. Yes, you can leave it behind. In doing so, you're not escaping the emotions and the risk of experiencing that pain in the future until you learn how to change out those filters. Coaching is a journey to become aware of the 126 bits per second of information that you allow in, changing out the filters until you start to see, hear, and feel what you want in your life. One of the most effective and time efficient tools that I have found is timeline therapy. Using only your imagination and intuition, you can free yourself from emotional overwhelm and this cycle of attracting what you don't want into your life. Healing is not about forgiving others, it's about becoming aware of yourself, about your needs, your patterns, your desires, your right next action. So let's talk about something practical. Your brain does not store emotional pain as words. It stores them as pictures, sounds, sensations. When you think about what happened, notice, does an image or a video flash to your mind automatically? Is it close or far away? Is it still or is it moving? Is it a movie? Is it bright or dim? Is it loud or quiet? These sensory details are called submodalities in NLP. This is why talking it out or ruminating over something doesn't help us because it activates the same internal pictures, which reactivates the same emotional response, which reinforces the loop. It's neurobiology. And unless those internal representations are updated, our body keeps reacting as if the threat is still happening. You're reliving the same emotions over and over. Resolution doesn't occur through analysis and talking about it. Resolution occurs through changing how the experience is encoded in our mind. It takes less than 2 minutes to finally adjust the internal pictures with the right tools. And this can have a dramatic effect on your emotions and actions. A long while after the infidelity in my relationship, I became quite unwell. The biggest source of conflict within me at the time contributing to this, I felt, was my relationship. It was prominent in my thoughts and affecting everything in my life. I just pushed aside the feelings every day and continued with my daily life. Despite being in pain 24 hours a day, barely sleeping, and caring for 2 young kids, I didn't miss a day of full-time work. I was resentful and it was growing. I changed nothing. I communicated nothing to my partner about it for a long period of time. I didn't grow up in an environment where I learned healthy communication. I learned to shut down and withdraw from an early age. I also grew up constantly trying to prove myself to everyone else because deep down, I didn't know who I was. I didn't feel worthy. Experiences with early relationships confirm this. I never felt chosen and usually ended the relationship when I got sick of being betrayed. I never saw it coming though. Every time I was hurt, it was like I was never going to get over it. When I learned NLP and timeline therapy, I started writing out my beliefs and letting them go. I realized as I did this, my health in all aspects started to improve. When I arrived at that point that I could think about the worst scenarios playing out in my relationship and life without fear, without getting any kinesthetic feeling at all, I knew in a moment of intuition I would never experience those or similar situations in my future. My neurobiology had changed. My filters had changed. My life was now different because of what I had healed, because I took the time to stop. I took the time to stop those shelves from shaking. I took the time to close those book chapters, allow light and fresh air back into my library. And if you're still listening to this, wondering if that is possible for you, I want to let you know that once awareness emerges, something remarkable happens. The nervous system softens, the mind stops scanning for danger, and clarity, real clarity, returns. Not clarity about what you should do, but clarity about what feels aligned for you, what feels safe, what feels honest. And from there, decisions stop being reactive, they start becoming grounded. This is why forcing decisions too early is harmful, because clarity is not something you can think your way into. Clarity appears when the emotional noise is resolved. Everything I have shared this far explains why you feel the way that you do. Coaching is where we change how your system is holding that information. In our work together, we don't analyze endlessly, rehash details, assign blame. We work directly with emotional imprints, internal representations, pictures in our mind, nervous system regulation, identity restoration. So you don't just understand what happened, you feel differently about it. And from that place, peace becomes possible again. As you continue to watch this masterclass, notice what has already shifted, even slightly. It's not coincidence. That's your system responding to awareness. And if you're ready to go further to experiencing this work directly, I'll explain exactly how we can do that. Here is the structure I use in infidelity coaching. This is important. I do not use talk therapy. I use sequence, evidence, aligned change processes drawn from NLP, timeline therapy, somatic bodywork, and nervous system regulation principles. Phase one is in emotional stabilization. We reduce the emotional intensity so you can function again. Sleep improves, mental noise reduces, loops slow. Phase two, we resolve the unresolved emotional responses. We close the book chapters that are lying open, not only from this event, but from earlier experiences that amplify it. We close the book chapters, the looping and the rumination stops. Emotional intensity drops from overwhelm to zero. Phase three, we rebuild self-trust, boundaries, and internal authority. This is where confidence and self-care returns. Phase four, clarity emerges. Not forced, not argued. It appears naturally once emotional interference is removed. Clarity is not created, it is revealed once we regulate our nervous system. Then you will know what you want and how to get there. The decisions and the steps become clear, like the thick cloud shifted to show you the unlimited sky. Many people ask me whether this work can be done individually. Yes, absolutely. If there is a possibility, even a slight one, that you will want to remain together, I recommend working as a couple. Hang on, did I just say earlier that every person needs to put their own healing needs first? Absolutely. So why then would a couple do this healing work together? Because authentic needs, intentions, and emotions surface during the process without debate or blame. And even if the relationship does not continue once clarity returns, this work supports healing through gaining a greater understanding of your partner and the filters that they have been seeing the world through. I've worked with many couples with children, interconnected families, where a relationship going forward, platonic, friendship, or romantic, it doesn't matter. In some form, the relationship still has to work for the best interest of all of those who depend on them. Healing is possible together. The couple may stay together romantically, they may not. Either way, they can move through infidelity coaching and assist each other in the healing, the emotional turmoil that has caused. Assist each other in healing the emotional turmoil. Infidelity starts way before the acts that we label as such. A couple's healing journey is far beyond the act of infidelity. It is simply an opportunity or an absolute kick up the butt to do the healing work in the relationship. It happened, it's done. What you choose to do next is the opportunity. Before I talk about what comes next, I want you to just pause for a moment. Not to think, just to notice. Notice your breath, notice your body, notice whether anything feels lighter than it did when you first pressed play. Because even awareness alone can bring a loosening of that grip that's been so tightly tense within your body. And if you're thinking nothing has changed yet, that's okay too. Clarity doesn't always arrive like a lightning bolt. Sometimes it arrives like space. What matters is this: you don't have to solve your entire future today. You only need to decide whether you're willing to stop carrying this alone. The people who work with me are not weak. They're not broken. They're not failing at relationships. They're usually the ones who have held it together far too long. The ones who keep functioning on the outside while quietly unraveling on the inside. This work is not about fixing you. It's about removing what is blocking your natural clarity. And if something in you has been quietly saying, I don't want to feel like this anymore, not next week, not next year, not in my next relationship, then you're already listening to the right signal. Here is what I'm inviting you into. I offer a 1 hour infidelity clarity session for you alone or for you and your partner together. This is not therapy. It's not a deep dive into painful details. It's not a commitment to a long-term program. It's a contained, safe, structured design session to do 3 things. Settle the emotional intensity, restore your internal reference, allow clarity to begin emerging naturally. Many people tell me that this is the first time the nervous system has actually felt calm since it happened. And from that calm, decisions become possible. Normally, this session is $250. For those who are watching this masterclass, I'm making it $25. Not because the work is small, but because sometimes the hardest part is simply taking the first step. There is no obligation to continue, no pressure, no expectation. And if after the first session you decide to go no further, you will leave with more clarity than you have right now. Imagine this just for a moment. Waking up and not immediately replaying the same thoughts. Imagine having a conversation without your body tightening. Imagine trusting yourself again, even if the relationship outcome is still unfolding. That's what this begins to restore, so you can feel that peace and joy in your relationship again. Below this masterclass recording, you will see a button to book your $25 infidelity clarity session. Once you book, you'll receive your session confirmation and my direct email address so you can ask me any questions beforehand. You don't need to be ready for the whole journey. You only need to be willing to take the next supported step. If that feels like a quiet yes inside, I would be honored to work with you. I'll see you on the other side of this step toward the change that you're seeking.